Welcome to the S3 Guide to Tax Filing, Building Your Safe Foundation. This is the SafeSimpleSound podcast, where our constitutional approach to financial planning creates both-and solutions for the contradictions families face. I'm speaking with you today, drawing from our team's chartered financial consultant background and our S3 framework development. In today's episode, we're exploring the anxiety and overwhelm that so often surrounds tax season. The same topic we recently wrote about because we see a powerful opportunity to transform this stress into strength. Whether you're a young professional filing on your own for the first time or part of a growing family navigating new complexities, this episode will give you a clear, manageable starting point through our S3 approach to building your financial foundation. We're going to trade that feeling of confusion for a sense of calm confidence, one steady step at a time. For many of us, the very mention of tax season can bring on a wave of anxiety. It feels like a complex, high-stakes mystery we were never taught how to solve. And this creates a common financial contradiction we observe in our practice. We know that taxes are critically important, but the process feels so overwhelming that our natural instinct is to avoid it, which only creates more stress down the road. The prevailing thought is often, this is a confusing puzzle, and I'm not qualified to handle it. It's an either-or dilemma. Either face the overwhelming complexity or abandon the task until the last possible second. At SafeSimpleSound, our constitutional approach is built on resolving these kinds of contradictions. We believe in a principle we call integration over abandonment. This means we don't run from the things that feel difficult, we integrate them. We turn what feels like a burden into a fundamental building block for your financial life. Through our S3 framework, we're here to gently reframe that anxiety-inducing thought into a truth you can build on. Tax filing is a clear, manageable first step in your financial journey. This is the first episode in our series on individual income taxes, and true to our safe, simple, sound philosophy, we're starting with the absolute foundation. We're going to set aside the complex calculations and spreadsheets for a moment. Our goal today is to build your safe foundation by answering the three most fundamental questions of tax filing. Let's walk through this together at a trustworthy tortoise pace and build your confidence from the ground up. The first step is establishing clarity. Before you can worry about forms, deductions, or software, the very first question is the simplest. Do you even need to file a tax return? From a technical standpoint, the IRS sets specific income thresholds each year. These depend on your gross income, your filing status, and your age. If your income is above that line, you are generally required to file. For instance, looking ahead to returns filed in 2025 for the 2024 tax year, a single person under age 65 would typically need to file if they earned at least $14,600. But here is where we apply a sound principle from our S3 framework. The question isn't just, am I required to file? The better question is it beneficial for me to file? Even if your income falls below that official threshold, filing can still be a tremendously sound financial decision. Why? There are two big reasons. First, to get a refund. If you had an employer who withheld federal income tax from your paychecks throughout the year, the only way to get that money back is to file a return. That's your money, and filing is the process to reclaim it. Second, to claim valuable tax credits. Some tax credits, like the Earned Income Tax Credit, are what's called refundable. This is a simple but powerful concept. It means you can get money back from the government even if you don't owe any tax at all. By not filing, you could be leaving that support on the table. Drawing from our CFC background at SafeSimpleSound, our approach suggests seeing this not as a burdensome obligation, but as an opportunity for empowerment. The first step in building a safe financial house is knowing exactly where you stand. Answering this "who needs to file" question is your first confident step toward that clarity. Once you've determined that you will be filing, your next foundational decision is choosing your filing status. This isn't just an arbitrary box to check on a form. It's a critical choice that directly impacts your standard deduction, your tax brackets, and the credits you might be eligible for. Getting this right is a core part of Safe First planning. It ensures the tax system views your household situation accurately from the very start. There are 5 main statuses, and we can make them simple. 1. Single. This is for individuals who are unmarried, divorced, or legally separated. Straightforward. 2. Married filing jointly. This is for married couples who choose to combine their incomes and file one return together. Through our SafeSimpleSound practice, we've observed this is the most common and often most beneficial status for married individuals. 3. Married filing separately. This is for married couples who choose to file 2 separate returns. It's less common, but our S3 framework demonstrates that it can be a sound choice in very specific financial situations, though it often comes with limitations. 4. Head of household. This is for unmarried individuals who paid for more than half the costs of keeping up a home for themselves and a qualifying person, like a child or dependent relative. 5. And finally, qualifying widow or widower. This is a specific status for a surviving spouse with a dependent child, which is available for 2 years after the spouse's death. Choosing the correct filing status is a simple act that provides a sound footing for the rest of the process. It's about aligning your tax return with the reality of your life. This alignment prevents future complications and ensures you are on the most beneficial path from the very beginning. It's another foundational brick laid with care and precision. Now, let's explore the third foundational pillar, understanding who qualifies as a dependent. For many families, this can be a source of real confusion, yet it's one of the most important parts of your tax foundation. Claiming a dependent can unlock significant tax benefits and credits that directly reduce the tax you owe. To illustrate this constitutional principle of seeking clarity, let me share a hypothetical scenario that demonstrates how S3 thinking can be applied. Consider this hypothetical situation. A fictional young couple named Chloe and Ben. They are in their late 20s. Chloe's younger brother, Liam, is 20 years old and a full-time college student. To save money, Liam lives with Chloe and Ben for 8 months of the year during the school year and summer break. He has a part-time job on campus that earns him about $7,000 a year, which he uses for books and personal expenses. Chloe and Ben cover the rest, his portion of the rent, utilities, and most of his food. When tax season approaches, they feel that familiar wave of anxiety. They're helping Liam, but they're unsure. Does he count as their dependent? They worry about making a mistake, claiming something they shouldn't, and getting into trouble with the IRS. It feels like a gray area, and their instinct is to just avoid it and file as a married couple with no dependents to be safe. But that's a false sense of safety born from avoidance. Instead, they decide to apply a SafeSimpleSound approach. First, they establish safety. They agree to look at the situation without judgment or fear. The goal isn't to find a loophole, it's to find the truth of their financial situation. They create psychological safety by reminding themselves that they are simply trying to understand the rules and apply them correctly. Next, they make it simple. Instead of getting lost in complex IRS publications, they break down the qualifying child test into a few basic questions from our S3 framework. 1. Relationship. Is Liam their brother? Yes. 2. Age. Is he under age 24 and a full-time student? Yes, he's 20. 3. Residency. Did he live with them for more than half the year? Yes, for 8 months. 4. Support. This is the big one. Did Liam provide more than half of his own support? His part-time job earned him $7,000. Chloe and Ben sit down and estimate what they spent on his behalf for rent, food, and utilities. They realize it was well over $7,000. So the answer is no, he did not provide more than half of his own support. Finally, they make a sound decision. Based on the simple facts they calmly gathered, Liam meets the test to be claimed as their qualifying child dependent. They aren't guessing or hoping. They have built a sound case based on the reality of their household. They can now confidently and correctly claim him as a dependent, which in turn makes them eligible for certain tax credits. Now, while this story of Chloe, Ben, and Liam is fictional, it demonstrates how our constitutional framework can transform a point of anxiety into an outcome of clarity and confidence. The traditional approach would be to either guess and risk being wrong, or to avoid the question and risk leaving valuable financial support unclaimed. The S3 approach provided a systematic path forward. Through this example, you can see how constitutional thinking applies directly to your financial life. The pattern we often observe is that ambiguity creates inaction. When the rules feel fuzzy, people retreat. Our S3 framework is designed to cut through that fog with simple, logical steps. Whether you're facing this exact situation with a student sibling, or perhaps you're helping support an aging parent, or you have a child in a shared custody arrangement, the S3 process remains the same. Start with safety, make it simple, and you will arrive at a sound conclusion. This is how you build a financial life on a foundation of truth, not fear. So let's bring it all together. By focusing on these foundational pillars, we've begun to reframe tax filing from an intimidating mystery into an empowering act of financial clarity. We started by applying the S3 principle of integration over abandonment, choosing to engage with this process as a way to build strength. We established the 3 core ground rules for your tax foundation. First, determining whether you need to file, and more importantly, whether it's beneficial for you to file. Second, choosing the correct filing status that accurately reflects the reality of your household. And third, understanding the rules for dependents to ensure your tax return mirrors your family's financial structure. This is the SafeSimpleSound approach in action, integrating a necessary process into your life in a way that builds security and confidence, not anxiety. Now, for some practical implementation guidance. Building a safe foundation also means operating with a clear, calm timeline, not in a last-minute panic. The primary deadline for filing federal income taxes is typically April 15th. If that date falls on a weekend or a holiday, it just moves to the next business day. Knowing this date allows you to work backward with that trustworthy tortoise pace we value so much. You can set a personal goal to gather your documents in February and prepare your return in March. This leaves plenty of time to address any questions that arise without the pressure of a looming deadline. And what if you need more time? You can file for an extension. This is a simple form that typically gives you until October 15th to file your return. But here's a critical piece of sound financial knowledge. An extension is an extension to file, not an extension to pay. If you expect to owe taxes, you should still estimate that amount and pay it by the April deadline to avoid potential penalties and interest. Making this distinction is a hallmark of a sound, proactive approach to your finances. This episode draws from our recent blog post, The S3 Guide to Tax Filing, Building Your Safe Foundation, which you can find at SafeSimpleSound.com for the complete written framework. Through our S3 approach development, we've also created a simple tool to help you with this first step. It's our free S3 Filing Readiness Checklist. It's a guide to help you confidently gather the documents and information you need, ensuring your foundation is secure before you even begin. You can download it from the blog post. If today's S3 insights on building a calm, clear, and confident financial foundation resonate with your family's situation, we invite you to explore what constitutional financial planning could look like through our SafeSimpleSound practice. Either way, you're now equipped with a constitutional framework for approaching your taxes, not with fear or avoidance, but with a safe, simple, and sound plan. That is a capability that will serve you well, whether you ever engage with our practice or not. Thank you for joining us on the SafeSimpleSound podcast. Go forward and build your foundation with confidence.